Veterans Day Armed Forces Classic. Number 10 Arizona faces number 12 Michigan State, followed by 11th ranked Indiana and number 3 Kansas. Coverage begins Friday at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN and on ESPN Radio.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the dirt. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me a boom.
Here's Jalen Rose.
What up, doe?
I'm David Jacoby.
Uh-huh.
We are Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio. What are we going to do, Jalen?
We give the people what they want. I still have egg on my face. It's going to take some time.
Donald Trump visited the White House today, as did the Cleveland Cavaliers. It was interesting with everything that's going on to see Obama host the Cleveland Cavaliers. He made jokes about, J.R. Smith's shirt. And, he gave a very good speech. He referenced the block by LeBron, the shot by Kyrie, the stop by Kevin Love. I'm not sure I'm ready to let the stop be a part of this story.
No.
I'm not sure I'm ready for that.
It's not like the John Elway drive.
Yeah, it's just like, hold on a second. Like, Kevin Love, it was a nice shot by Kyrie. It was a good defense and everything, but
You know what? It's always good D on Steph Curry? When he misses.
When he misses. Exactly. But it leads to the question, how do you think, under a Donald Trump presidency, these future NBA championship team visits will go?
So I must acknowledge that it's an honor to visit the White House, something that I have done. Got a chance to meet the great Colin Powell during that trip. I was a member of the Chicago Bulls. Got a chance to be there in 2008 for an inauguration for Barack Obama's first term of presidency. So I, in any way, shape, or form, don't want to disrespect the opportunity for that great honor in the most storied building, I guess, in the United States of America.
Sure.
Where we house our president.
Outside Madison Square Garden.
And so with that being said, how can you let your voice be heard? The unique thing about a presidential election, and it's somewhat head-scratching, and I attribute this in a different way to the All-Star game voting in the NBA. When people say that it's a popularity contest, but however, you can vote more than once. So for me, because of that, it doesn't make it a popularity contest if one person can vote 50 times if they choose.
No.
Well, in a different way that happens with the presidential election, and it happened in this case. When you have one candidate, Hillary Clinton, win the popular vote, and then the other candidate, Donald Trump, win the electoral vote, you're going to always have that push and pull of people that felt like their voice may or may not have been heard. This was a unique presidential election because both candidates, however, their ability to get the trust of the public was quite low for both.
Yep.
So because of that, the next step we all have to take, and this is why I think there will be teams and players and coaches from the NBA and the NFL that decline the opportunity to visit the White House under a Donald Trump presidency, is because when you start to get those photos on wax, that becomes a validation for a lot of the things that he ran for. And while we must respect the honor that he won, during the period of time of going for that defeat, going for that victory, man, he left a lot of collateral damage for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So I think the next step truly is going to take place when somebody that endorses one side, and again, your political choice is just that. I welcome and respect the right for everybody to think, feel, judge, critique, however they choose.
Sure.
That's the great right to be an American. But the next step for us to really be a United States is for LeBron to stand there and say, yes, I endorse Hillary and this is why. And have those that feel like they endorse Donald Trump to be able to do the same thing. Not like Bill Belichick, who will write the letter but want to distance himself. And seriously, Nick Saban? Like, seriously.
I didn't know it was election day.
Like,
I didn't know it was election day.
that
What he
is
said.
foul in so many different ways.
It's just a lie, is what it is.
But again, for us to be a United States is we have to have the dialogue of truly why we support it, who we support it, and why, and respect one another. I appreciate that. Here's what I am having a hard time grappling with: closeted support. Because while an election allows you to do just that, you could say whatever outwardly and go into the polls and actually vote for who you choose, which is your American right. Well, this is why the polling process was really off if you watch what happened leading up to the election, to the point where the actual winner was trying to figure how he would handle not winning and was coming up with an escape plan.
So you get these scenarios, though, 4 times a year, 5 times a year, where sports and the presidential office have a distinct intersection, where it is they get invited and then they come and visit. Let's imagine a hypothetical scenario in which the Cleveland Cavaliers repeat as NBA champions, right? Do you think you will see the same scene you saw when they visited the White House under Barack Obama when they visit the White House under Donald Trump? No.
That scene will not only be vastly different, it's not going to just be professional athletes. This is going to trickle. This is not just professional sports. This is an American thing. Last night, for those who haven't been paying attention, there were at least 25 cities that contained people of all shapes, sizes, and creeds that were protesting. Okay, like that is real time happening, including where we're recording this program in downtown Los Angeles. Yeah. So this is happening in front of us while sports continues to provide a backdrop, and it always has been a unique platform for everybody to come together, regardless of their fiscal situations, regardless of their religious beliefs. Sports has always been that bridge for society in a lot of ways because a lot of people support it, watch it, go to it, and that becomes a place, wow, it's 25,000 people here at a basketball game. Wow, it's 80,000 people here at a football game. So that now provides that backdrop of people to say, I'm going to now use my platform to show that while this may be an honor to visit the White House, I don't think that my student athletes, I don't think these professional athletes, and look no further than what Steve Kerr had to say, whose team could very well win the championship this year.
Favored to win the championship.
Okay, and the Cleveland Cavaliers who, whew, man, I'm glad that we get a chance to visit right now.
There was an interesting uninterrupted upload from J.R. Smith. It sort of hinted that they really pressed the issue to make sure that they visit the White House under Obama's presidency. Let's give a listen.
So 100% an honor.
Thank you, NBA.
But I appreciate, y'all making sure we are here before, this term is up, and just stay tuned.
It sounds like they requested to visit the White House under Obama, and the NBA made that happen.
But that's what makes this unique and tricky. And now that the office has been decided and we're going to hear so many people talk about how we can move forward, this is what I truly suggest. The gray area creates itself amongst the closeted support. Because when we can't truly have dialogue about why we felt one way or another about what may push our country forward, and we continue to walk past each other and not really say, because here's what I noticed. The people that have strong opinions one way or the other, I could support. But there are a lot of people just flying under the radar like, And that's their right. Mm-hmm. But that's really what's going to make us a United States when we have that ability to do such and respect one another. I'm not upset or disappointed by how anybody chose to vote. But let me tell you what I am upset about. Colin Kaepernick, you need to vote.
You got to vote. You have to vote. Not voting is not a protest.
You got to vote. Because here's why. That's right is way bigger than you. There was bloodshed for that opportunity to take place. And you know when it culminated the most? In 2008 when Barack Obama became president. And it happened in back-to-back situations. So if nobody else votes if your skin looked like mine, you probably should consider doing such. So I was disappointed that he chose not to, but not surprised. This is what makes this unique, because there will be a lot of people that criticize him for not voting. And you know what a lot of people who are criticizing him for not voting didn't do? They didn't vote either.
Probably didn't vote either.
So that's the unique thing about this. You're going to have people with microphones talking about why he should vote that did not vote themselves. So when we get everybody voting, when we get everybody willing to have the dialogue about why they feel strongly about either side, that's what truly puts us in a position to start to legitimately become a United States.
I had one of those I need to talk to Jalen about this moments. Here's what Andrew Bogut had to say. Quote, "This league is full of people who are full of bleep and shallow. And that's what you figure out in pro sports. It's very hard to meet a genuine person who you can call your friend in this league." Did your experience in the NBA mirror that of Andrew Bogut?
My experience does not mirror that of Andrew Bogut. He sounds like a player that used to be on the team that won a championship that didn't re-sign him. Therefore, he had to go to another team to get his large contract. Mm-hmm. That's what that sounds
traded.
like to me.
You got traded to the Mavs.
Yep.
How many times do you go to work in any profession and everybody that you see all day just happen to be your best of friends? It doesn't work
It's just
that
not the way
way.
it works. I mean, it sounds to me like, sure, I understand how he could end up feeling that way, but I don't think, and you tell me if I'm wrong, professional sports is any different than any other workplace. There are some people you get along with. There are some people you don't. There's some people you're friends with outside of work. There's some people you're not. It's just the way it is.
And you would think, because it's in people's best interest to get along, Shaq and Kobe, Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook,
That came up.
that they would.
Remember, they were quote-unquote work friends, and there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to be best friends with everybody that you work with. You just have to work together to accomplish the goal.
And these are two guys that are going to the Hall of Fame and will have statues in front of the Staples Center. One guy, Russell Westbrook, who's playing like an MVP, and another guy, Kevin Durant, who the latter two guys probably are on Hall of Fame arcs. So your name is Andrew Bogut, okay? You know when people love you more? When you're balling. Mm-hmm. When we look down at the stat sheet and your numbers jump out at me like Anthony
10,
Davis
10 and
is doing.
6, huh?
That's when we like you more. And you know what else happens then? Yes, when you're sitting at the table and you just grab 17 rebounds and Steph and the other cats are over there in the restaurant, hey, take care of his check. But you know what happens when you broken down, you have a couple of knee injuries, and you miss game 6 and 7 when LeBron James was continuing to drive the basketball to the hole? And I think without your size and without Draymond Green in game 5 and Iguodala being hurt are the three main reasons that the Cavs are champions today.
Yep.
It's like, hey, big fella, it was a good run. We had
Great run.
73 together. Let's hug it out. Let's get your ring. You can put your ring against the banner if you're going to be there opening night. Other than that, salute. You don't expect Klay Thompson and Draymond Green to still be texting you all season, do you?
Yeah, you're not going to be in a group text anymore, Andrew Bogut. You know, that's what it is. And also, relationships change. You know what I mean? You move to a new city. You don't see people every single day. Relationships change.
You need a man with sensitivity.
A little sensy. He's a little sensy. I'm sensitive, too. I'm riding with you, Bogut. James Harden did it again. This time against the San Antonio Spurs.
You remember what I said James Harden was going to do this year, right?
What'd you say he was going to do?
Lead the league in points and assists.
See, here's the thing about listening to Jalen Jacoby and watching Jalen and Jacoby. You get there before everybody else does. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to hear this narrative in late December or in January, and then everyone say, hey, you know what? James Harden just might lead the league in assists and scoring news. It's broken news.
This guy, so first let me just talk about the attributes of a special offensive player. First off, he's crafty. Lefty. Okay? Find ways to go downhill. Has the height, has the bulk, has the ability to finish at the hoop. Can draw fouls and make free throws, play mid-range, shoot from 3, handle in ISO situations, handle off pick and roll, play half-court basketball, play full-court basketball. But as long as the basketball is an extension of his hand and Patrick Beverly and Jason Terry aren't passing it to him or spotting up where the other guys can suppress the floor and help, now we're going to put the ball in my hands, which is going to put Gordon, Ariza, Anderson, all shooters around me. And then when I get to the hole, just throw it up top to Capella. Now all of a sudden we have a special offensive repertoire under Mike D'Antoni, who we've seen be one of the more innovative coaches on that side of the basketball.
Nene is a sneaky pickup for them, too. You didn't hear a lot about that, but he makes a difference down there.
And yes, he's going to continue to rack up big points where he led the league in totals the last 2 years.
24 points against the Spurs, 15 assists, 12 rebounds. This is against the Spurs and Popovich and Leonard and Aldridge. This isn't just like some team.
There is no fluke of what's happening with James Harden. Like, if you're surprised by this, you didn't see him get a $200 million deal with Adidas. You didn't just see Houston be in the Western Conference Finals a couple of years. You didn't see him win the Players MVP. Like, this has really been happening. He led the league last year in players with 30 points plus 10 assist games. The thing I want you to hit the brakes for is happening in San Antonio. Pau Gasol doesn't fit.
What?
The San Antonio Spurs have lost 3 home games so far this year. You know how many they lost last year?
How many did they lose last year in the regular season?
1.
At the end of the regular season.
And I figured out what it is.
What is it, Mr. Rose?
Besides the fact that clearly Tony Parker's been hobbled and he's gotten older. He's not an all-star caliber player.
But they don't ask him to do what they used
Manu
to ask him
Ginobili's
to do
in his final season.
They don't ask him to do what they used to ask him to do either.
Danny Green, who just returned from injury, has not been that knockdown shooter that he was when they were winning championships. So now what has happened is they're a forward-led team, which means Kawhi Leonard has to not only be the Defensive Player of the Year candidate, but he also has to be the lead ball handler in pick-and-roll situations where he's improved to create offense for himself and then for others. LaMarcus Aldridge, who, along with Kawhi, are face-up players, but the beauty of their offense is they both can play with their back to the baskets. LaMarcus can play some power forward. He can play some center, especially in small lineups. Okay? So what happens when you put him at 5 in those small lineups? You hope that he can at least be out on the floor with Jonathan Simmons and Kawhi to switch some stuff and contest at the hoop, still get the rebound, and get out and run. Powell literally would be best against teams that post up traditional centers. The problem is, especially in the West, teams aren't frequently doing that.
Sacramento?
The only traditional teams that they're going to face that use a 4 and a 5 that are like 6'9" and above that are more traditional are like the Clippers with Blake and DeAndre. OKC with a lot of their matchups when there's Enes Kanter and Adams because those are their really best 4 and 5s. But when you look at teams like the Warriors, Pau Gasol can't be out there. When you look at teams like Houston, Pau Gasol can't be out there because a lot of times they have 4, if not 5 guys surrounding the hoop. And at this point of his career, the lack of foot speed away from the basket and his inability to play pick and rolls, you can't even have him out there.
He can't switch on any guard.
So now that I'm looking at the addition of him being to the team, I'm like, it's got to be addition by subtraction. He can't play alongside LaMarcus Aldridge.
Well, if you remember this, it's like, they lost Tim Duncan, so they got Pau Gasol. Pau Gasol is going to be in that Tim Duncan role. Remember at the end of the regular season in the playoffs what Tim Duncan's role was?
Tim Duncan's role was to watch against smaller lineups. This is not my assertion that the Spurs won't have the second or third best record in the West. That's going to happen. That will take place. You saw how they beat the Golden State Warriors by 29 points on opening night. But you know what else you saw? Them get thumped the same way by the Clippers. So this is the thing that I see. You can't change a couple of things that I described, but the Powell and the Aldridge dynamic means, for me, I don't see one of them ending the season in their uniform.
Interesting. Again, this is why you listen to Jalen Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
And we putting it on wax.
Something happened at the Nedbank Golf Challenge in South Africa that was very concerning to me. During play, there wasn't a mongoose that ran on the course. It was a gang of mongoose. They were deep. There's about 24 of them. They were organized. This was an organized gang activity assaulting a professional golf tour. Are you as concerned as I am about the safety of our athletes?
Did anyone get injured?
No. They didn't even move the ball. They knew not to mess with the ball.
You have an outdoor sport. These things could take place where wildlife are present. This happens. No big deal.
Big deal. They're organized, Jalen. They're organized.
Nobody got injured. Didn't affect play, didn't touch the ball.
Ray Allen.
Shuttlesworth.
Retired from the National Basketball Association.
Filled out his papers.
Filled out the papers. Have you filled out yours?
Not gonna be able to do it.
I'm not gonna be able to do it.
I'm going to get you to retire.
Why?
I'm going to print out the paperwork.
Because you got Ray Allen to retire, you're not getting me to retire.
You're the ambassador of the Retired Players Association, Jalen.
What? Oh.
Do you understand that? Do they know that at the Retired Players Association? I'm going to write them a letter. I'm going to write them a letter. I'm just going to snitch on you. He's retired, and he jogs a lot. He does at least 2.5 miles a day. On the weekends, he runs 10 miles or 16 miles, something like that. And he said he wants to run a marathon. I have an announcement, Jalen Rose. Today I signed up for the 2017 Los Angeles Marathon.
Good.
March 17th.
Good.
I'm doing 26.2 miles.
Good.
I'm committed now. It costs money.
Good.
Like, I just thought you could just sign and fill out some paperwork or something. No, it costs real money to register for that thing. I spent real money on that. Now I got to do it.
Yep.
And I'm going to make sure I support you. And here's how.
How?
When you get done, I'll be somewhere.
I'm going so hard.
I'll order you whatever you want to eat.
I'm going so hard.
And I'll have the beverages ready.
I'm going so hard. I want like 7 masseuses dressed in Knicks uniforms.
What?
Is Joey Jacoby listening to this? You get a little out of control, man.
Masseuses. Male masseuses. In Knicks uniforms. And all Kristaps Porzingis uniforms. I don't want to see Melo.
You better clean it up.
I don't want to see Derrick Rose. I don't want to see any of that.
Beep, beep, beep.
That's me backing up. Beep. That's me backing up on the masseuse statement.
You in trouble, trouble, trouble.
I'm also
and that
moving
will
on.
make the television show.
Black China and Rob Kardashian had a kid.
Oh, this better not make the television show.
Dream Kardashian. I have a confession, Jalen. I actually watch their show every single week.
What?
I'm not proud of this. It's something that I do. I watch it every week. I wish I could change it about myself. I can't. I enjoy it.
See, people like you who promote reality TV
I love it.
have made the Kardashians a $1 billion brand and elected a president.
Peyton Manning's going to guest star on Modern Family. As someone who had a great guest starring role on Fresh Off the Boat. Big shout out to Eddie Wong. What advice do you have for Mr. Manning?
Have fun. Read your lines.
I have a question. Do you get paid?
Yes, because usually for those type of appearances, you got to be in SAG.
So you have to get paid.
No doubt.
Okay.
I think you do a good job. He seems to perform well with written material.
He does. He's good in commercials. He's good. Why isn't he signed up to do media yet?
It's work.
It is real
He's
work.
Retired.
It is real
What
work.
do you mean?
Look, here's one thing. Yeah.
People just think like when I'm on TV at 4, I just got there at 3:59.
I think that's one thing that's like a big misconception from athletes when they retire and they want to go do media. They're like, wait a second, what time's the meeting?
Right, exactly.
What time?
Right.
AM or PM? I'm
Exactly.
sorry. Wait, what time's the show?
No doubt.
You want me to be there when?
And I happily say we work for a multitask company.
Yeah, man. Let's move on before we get fired. New Orleans has been announced as the host of the 2022 Men's Basketball Final Four. Does that bring up any memories for you?
No, but it does remind me of the fact that I can see somebody like Coach Cal if his team cuts down the nets and win the championship this year, deciding if he wants to take his team to the White House or not.
Interesting. This is not going to stop.
I know it's not.
Do you know what Donald Trump, the future president, should probably do? Just not invite anybody. Too busy. Sorry, guys. Congratulations. Love y'all. But I'm too busy. That would solve a lot of problems for him.
A lot of people felt like that when he was running.
Yep. UCLA, prestigious athletic program. They have more Jalens coming to their college to play athletic sports than any other college. They have Jalen Phillips coming for football, Jalen Shaw coming for football. Basketball, they have Jalen Hands and Jalen Hill. They're working on Jalen McKenzie, and they're also after Jalen Red. What?
It's just like the video of the snakes chasing the iguanas. We're everywhere.
You're everywhere.
It's all love and respect. That's one of the most humbling things that people say and or acknowledge. That in one way, shape, or form, we heard your name and we felt compelled to name our son or daughter that. That's love.
It's a great name. It's just a good sounding name. Jalen Jacoby sounds so good. Jalen Jacoby. If I had a kid and I named it Jalen Jacoby, it's got a really good alliteration, but I just can't give you that much respect.
Props to my mom. She did it. Props to my Uncle Leonard, who was there when she gave birth, rushed her to the hospital. And here's what I love about my mom.
She didn't have a plan?
No, the plan. Here's the plan. This is what I love. We're not going to a hospital in the hood. Nope. Thank you, Mom. I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Thank you. We're going to get some clean sheets for this baby. Okay? And then the other part of the name is clearly my biological father, rest in peace, Jimmy Walker. You take James, which is his real name, put it with Lynn, you get Jalen. And I appreciate all of the love. And I'm rooting for all of the Jalens to do well. I actually have a nephew that plays offensive line for the UCLA team this year.
Good. If I have a son, and I probably will, because I'm on pace to have at least 65 kids by the time this show is over. Do you know what hospital I'm taking him to?
The one that Steph Curry and LeBron was born in.
Exactly. My wife's be like, "Why are we flying to Akron?"
But I got to say something
for a month.
But I got to say something that's unique about the whole scenario about people being named Jalen.
What's that?
Something doesn't exist. Jalen Jr.
Get to work. So, Jalen.
What up, though?
I read the entire internet every morning to prepare for this show.
You're a highly trained professional, sir.
There are a lot of websites that provide a lot of content and do a lot of great work for this show. Too many to name.
Terrific dad, wonderful husband.
Too many to name. One of them is For the Win of USA Today Sports. And they had a really interesting post of some just fascinating stats from this year in the NFL. I'm going to read some of these stats to you, and you're going to tell me what they mean.
Okay.
Okay? This is from For the Win. Big shout to them. The Vikings are averaging 2.7 rushing yards per carry this season. If they continue that pace, they will set the NFL record for the least amount of yards per carry.
Well, what
does that mean?
Anytime you can't run the football, it's a reflection of your offensive line. But also, in their case, I double it down. It just shows that they're without Adrian Peterson.
Yeah. He was actually averaging less per carry when he was healthy this season.
Yeah, but that was only for a game and a half.
Tom Brady is averaging 14.4 yards per attempt on third down. Ben Roethlisberger is second at 8.9. What does that mean?
Balance. When you could turn around and put the football in the belly of your running back, LeGarrette Blount, and he might run for 5 yards plus. When you can pass fake that, and all of a sudden you got Gronk and Bennett running up the rails. You got Amendola and Edelman going underneath.
Hogan.
And you got Tom Brady, the best in the game, at any position, pulling the trigger. They're explosive.
The Atlanta Falcons have allowed 23 passing touchdowns this season. All of last season, they allowed 19.
The word that comes to mind, Achilles heel. We've seen this from the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
They've gotten off to a terrific start. In particular, Matt Ryan is going to be lauded by a lot of people for his play.
Yep.
Julio Jones, rightfully so, draws a lot of attention. But if they're going to be a team that legitimately, in my eyes, is able to compete with Seattle, Arizona, Carolina, then Dallas, I think that's going to be the NFC Final Four. At that point of the season, they're going to have to shore it up on the defensive side of the football.
Tom Brady has thrown more touchdowns than Carson Palmer, Cam Newton, Russell Wilson, Joe Flacco, Carson Wentz, and Andy Dalton, and he sat out 4 games. What does that mean?
MVP. The best 2 players in the entire NFL are Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski. You can argue all day if you want.
I think you're wrong about that.
Okay.
I don't think Rob Gronkowski impacts the game as much as people that play other positions do.
Huh?
It's just that simple.
Well, unless you're
he
going to
touches the ball 4 or 5 times a game.
So, okay.
He touches the ball 5 times.
Let me tell you.
Quarterbacks touch the ball every single down.
Let me tell you who's third. Aaron Donald. That's who's third.
Cleveland is the first team in NFL history, to give up 25 points in each of their first 9 games.
They're bad.
They're really bad.
Really bad.
They're really bad. Only 2 teams have trailed in the fourth quarter of every single game this season. One of them is Cleveland. The other is
the Detroit Lions. And I will say this, though. This is where, if you're an NFL team, you get out the checkbook and you find a way to pluck Terrell Pryor from the Browns. Because he's a player. And it says a lot about the Lions' 5 wins that took place, though in each game the team was trailing in the fourth quarter. Big shout to Matthew Stafford and Golden Tate, who got off to a slow start, that's now playing level 1 receiver type football.
Can we talk about Golden Tate for a second? Why don't you just run it in the end zone? It's overtime, dude. It's overtime. You could get hit. The ball could pop out. What is he doing? What was that? And don't act like you were not yelling at the TV when you saw him do that at the end of the game.
I was. And in moments of celebration, we've seen athletes do some things that they wouldn't do again. I'll tell you something that comes to mind. You'll never see Antonio Brown jump on the goalpost like he did that one time he scored a touchdown. No, I guarantee you he won't be doing that again.
If he would have executed that perfectly, it would have been a highlight for the ages, but that didn't really work out the way that he had planned.
That's why twerk. Like, I'm not going anywhere near it. What up, though, AB?
Ezekiel Elliott leads the league and is on pace to break Eric Dickerson's rookie record for yards.
Want to break the rookie record, having a terrific season.
Is he going to break it?
He and Dak are on pace to be
going to break it?
Co-rookies of the year. There's a reason why it has not been broken. Eric Dickerson has been immortalized with this record, and it's going to continue to stand after this season.
The most surprising stat.
Eric Dickerson was the new era O.J. Simpson when I first saw him run. It was like those guys get the ball, and this was when the yard markers was 5, 10. And Howard Cosell be like, he's gone. That's the first thing that just come to mind. Eric Dickerson with his goggles with the Jerry curl. You know you wanted to get a Jerry curl when you saw Eric Dickerson's, didn't you?
Yep. Jalen, if you think I knew what a Jerry curl was when I saw Eric Dickerson, we haven't communicated enough about my upbringing then. The most impressive, surprising stat thus far in the NFL season is clearly that the Lions are in first place in the NFC North.
But I got to tell you guys,
shh. You can't yell a roar and then say, shh.
Nobody watches our show.
Oh, yeah, good point. We're going to do it again tomorrow anyway, though. Thank you so much for listening on ESPN Radio, for watching on ESPN2 and ESPN News, and subscribing.
Thank you.
To the Jalen and Jacoby podcast.
You look handsome today.
It's the first time we've ever said that.
I'm Eric Carabell. On the latest fantasy-focused baseball podcast, Tristan Cockroft and I discuss what was learned from the baseball playoffs for fantasy purposes, prospects on display at Arizona Fall League who looked great, plus many, many hash browns to answer.
Ole Miss heads to College Station Saturday night to face Texas A&M.
Stiff arm, down he goes! Down he goes!
Coverage begins Saturday at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.